Furniture.
On World News Tonight, the anthrax sent to Senator Daschle contained an extremely potent form produced by someone who knew what they were doing. Overwhelmed by anthrax hoaxes, cities, towns, and agencies stretched thin and short of money. And testing for it, it's a 19th century science. And in Afghanistan, trying to intimidate the Taliban.
Gun ready. Gun ready. You need your act.
With a special operations aircraft.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to begin with anthrax tonight. It has been a long and very difficult day in the Congress and an unsettling one here at ABC. But the Congress got a real scare today when it was learned that the anthrax sent to Senator Tom Daschle's office, he's the Senate Majority Leader, was the most dangerous kind. We've also learned something about the letters to Senator Daschle and to NBC, and we'll come to that in a minute. But first, the anthrax itself. ABC's Brian Ross is here. Brian, this is described as surprisingly pure.
That's right, Peter. The gold standard, military grade, according to one expert, that only a sophisticated operation could produce. It seems to have been designed and milled to a size specifically so it stays in the air. It takes a lot of money and special machinery, and it leads to a greater chance of the deadly inhalation anthrax type.
And does this particular type of anthrax give any clue to source?
Quite a few countries have made it, a long list ranging from Iraq and Russia to Britain and the United States.
Okay, many thanks, Brian. Indeed, there's the bare bones of that anthrax, which explains why this was a chaotic and nervous day on Capitol Hill for the members of Congress and their many staff members. ABC's Linda Douglas joins us from Capitol Hill to explain the day that was. Linda?
Peter, the frightened congressional aides tried very hard to work on legislative business as investigators analyzed the ventilation system in one of the Senate office buildings to see if it contained anthrax spores. 12 Senate offices were closed as hundreds of aides, reporters, service people, and senators filed into a hearing room to be tested for anthrax.
There is at least the remote chance that spores could have gone through the ventilation system.
That thought terrified some young aides. Some later ran from the building in tears. The Capitol physician urged anyone who was in the building where the Daschle letter was opened yesterday to start taking the antibiotic Cipro now, even before they get the results of their anthrax test.
Within 24 to 48 hours, we would anticipate the results of the culture, possibly watching them as long as 72 hours.
The Capitol, now heavily fortified, looked like a ghost town again today. Only tourists with a ticket from their elected representative could get inside. No mail is being delivered for now, and senators are trying to figure out how to protect their staffs when they open mail in the future. Not everyone agrees that gloves are a good idea.
By taking the plastic gloves off, you end up spreading it, whereas the best thing to do is just wash your hands every hour.
Senator Daschle said he is certain the Capitol can be protected and has not been contaminated, even though testing has not been completed.
I don't think my job is to pronounce fears as much as it is to pronounce confidence, and I'm going to try to do that. I want to soothe the fears, not exacerbate them.
Congressional leaders, though, are very nervous tonight, and they are wondering, Peter, which one of them will be the next target.
Many thanks, Linda. Linda Douglas on Capitol Hill. Now to the letters themselves. ABC's Brian Ross again. Brian, we learned today that there was quite a similarity, or some similarities, between the letters to Senator Daschle and the one to NBC.
That's right, Peter. The FBI today began questioning postal workers in Trenton, New Jersey to see if any of them remembered handling the letters sent to both NBC and Senator Daschle. Both letters were postmarked there, and the FBI also made the envelopes public. The letter to Senator Daschle was sent October 9th with a return address of 4th grade, Greendale School in Franklin Park, New Jersey. There is a Franklin Park in New Jersey, but no such school. Authorities also released the envelope sent to NBC with block handwriting the FBI said was similar to the Daschle envelope.
So far, we have found no direct link to organized terrorism. There are, however, certain similarities between letters sent to NBC in New York and to Senator Daschle's office here in Washington.
The actual letters have not been released, but a federal official who has seen the Daschle letter says it includes a date, 09/11/01, the way an American would write the date, and then, this is next. Take your medicine. Death to America. Despite the similarities of the letter, the anthrax found in the letter to NBC was said to be remarkably crude, especially, Peter, compared to that which was found in the letter to Senator Daschle.
Okay, many thanks again, Brian Ross. In Washington today, the Attorney General John Ashcroft said that anthrax hoaxes were, his words, a grotesque transgression of the public trust. And if the federal authorities catch you, he said, you may be looking at a prison term and a huge fine. The authorities are having to run down thousands of leads. ABC's Pierre Thomas picks up the story in Washington tonight. Pierre?
Peter, overwhelmed law enforcement officials are extremely anxious and angry about anthrax hoaxes. Students were evacuated at Boston University. Emergency teams respond to an office in Covington, Kentucky, and a Social Security building in Palm Beach, Florida. Passengers stranded today on grounded planes from Vermont to California because of white powder found on board. On Monday alone, 80 abortion providers across the country received letters claiming to contain anthrax. All apparently false alarms, in many cases, hoaxes.
Terrorism hoaxes are not victimless crimes, but are the destructive acts of cowards.
In Connecticut, prosecutors charged Joseph A. Ferranars with lying about his knowledge of an anthrax hoax at his office. The two-day evacuation cost state taxpayers $1.5 million. If convicted, he faces up to 5 years in prison and $3 million in fines. In the last 2 weeks, the FBI has received 4,000 reports of bombs and biochemical weapons. They had to check out every one. Peter?
Thank you, Pierre. Pierre Thomas in Washington. Not everyone in the country heard the ABC story on this broadcast last night. It was developing quickly, and our staff was told the news right after the broadcast. The news simply is this. 18 days ago, the infant son of a World News Tonight producer became very ill a day after his mother had been here in the office with him. No one thought of anthrax until the case at NBC last Friday. The little boy was tested immediately, and we learned last night that he does have cutaneous anthrax. We were descended on immediately by the Centers for Disease Control, the FBI, and the New York City authorities. The mayor was concerned that the media in general might be vulnerable, and he ordered that all the major news organizations with offices in New York City be checked out. We are very glad to report tonight that the boy is responding very well to treatment. The doctor who is counseling us all said today that the boy was doing great, his words. Now, we do not know for sure if he was actually exposed to anthrax here, but the authorities are operating on that premise. The trouble is, New York City and the FBI couldn't agree on what to do next. And so at the mayor's insistence, the FBI is no longer collecting evidence in this case. New York City is. Not many mayors could have their way like that, but these days, Rudolph Giuliani can. Now, the drug most commonly used to treat anthrax is an antibiotic called ciprofloxacin, or more commonly, as I'm sure you've heard, Cipro. It is suddenly in great demand. And this report tells you that some of the people who want the drug urgently could be causing themselves more harm than good if they actually use it. Here's ABC's Jackie Judd.
I'm gonna have Cipro is flying off the pharmacy shelves from New York to Florida. In New York City alone, demand has doubled since the week before the attacks.
Everybody and their uncle and grandfather are calling in for it. It's incredible. Dentists are writing for it. It's incredible.
It is impossible to know how many people who are buying the powerful antibiotic because of the anthrax scare are actually taking the drug, and how many are storing it away just in case. But doctors warn that Cipro is not a drug to be trifled with.
A broad-spectrum antibiotic is one that kills a whole variety of bacteria, as opposed to a narrow spectrum that really focuses on one type of bacteria.
Cipro is usually prescribed for hard-to-treat urinary, prostate, and lower respiratory infections. Taking the drug without any symptoms can be a prescription for trouble.
There's always a possibility with the wanton use of Cipro, we can see antimicrobial resistance, and therefore Cipro will not be able to work anymore.
And there can be serious side effects, including seizures, joint pain, and mood swings.
Late today, the manufacturer of Cipro, Bayer, announced it is dramatically increasing production, 300 million tablets in 3 months. Bayer says the government, which needs to increase its emergency stockpile, encouraged the company to ramp up production. Jackie Judd, ABC News, Washington.
There have been no cases of anthrax outside the United States, but there have been some scares. Norway, New Zealand, Egypt, Canada. In Britain today, 12 people at the London Stock Exchange were taken to the hospital after they handled a suspicious package. There was no anthrax. In Australia, 57 reported cases yesterday were all false. When we come back, Afghanistan, U.S. Special Forces in Afghanistan today, spying and shooting at the same time. We will tonight take a closer look at protecting against biological terrorism. It is enormously expensive. And the children, finding ways to raise money for the children in Afghanistan, including feeding the chickens.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, brought to you by Toyota.
Is 106 cubic feet of interior space really necessary? As a matter of fact, it is. Avalon, the most spacious sedan we've ever created.
It was my grandson's birthday. He just turned 3. We're going to move him out of his crib and buy him a big boy bed. I was on chemo then, and I was exhausted. I said to the doctor, I need help. I'm on a mission.
If you're a chemotherapy patient and feel tired and weak, you may be anemic. Ask your doctor about Procrit. Procrit is a natural way to regain red blood cells lost during chemotherapy. And more red blood cells can mean more strength.
Oh, this is a great one. This is a good one.
Procrit is proven and safe. In studies, only diarrhea and edema occurred more often with Procrit than placebo. Procrit is for patients with non-myeloid cancers.
How do you like it up here now?
Good. Call now and learn how Procrit can help you get back the strength you need.
See? What'd I tell you?
Your strength for living.
He takes a lot of energy, but I never get tired of him.
Oh, the things we endure for beauty. Being lathered in hot molten metal. Buffed until raw. Inspected over 100 times. But that's what it takes to be a Delta faucet. Every Delta is carefully crafted and meticulously refined to be beautiful inside and out. Isn't it worth it? Delta. Beautifully engineered.
The Pentagon said today that U.S. Special Operations aircraft attacked the Taliban overnight in Afghanistan. This is the first acknowledgement that Special Forces are operating in the country. The U.S. has several new or refined weapon systems at work in the field. And ABC's John McCarthy has the details at the Pentagon. John?
Peter, it's an airplane that the U.S. is adding to the mix, at least in part, because of a hoped-for psychological impact on Taliban troops.
The AC-130 gunship has far more firepower than a tank. In the last 24 hours, 2 of them ripped into a Taliban military complex near Kandahar. As troops and vehicles made a run for it, the gunships hit them again. Officials say the aircraft will be in action again tonight. The gunship is also useful for surveillance with its advanced telescopic night scope, a small part of an enormous new intelligence effort aimed at finding individuals in a population of millions.
American commanders are going to be able to see the enemy. The enemy won't know that the American commanders are watching them.
Among other aircraft is the Predator unmanned aerial vehicle. It is already quietly circling potential Taliban and al-Qaeda targets 24 hours a day, looking for movement. A secret CIA version is armed with Hellfire missiles. Sources say it has already attacked at least one small convoy believed to be carrying Taliban leaders. The U.S. is also rushing a new unmanned spy plane called Global Hawk to the region, even though it is still in development. It operates from the edge of space, can both watch and listen for enemy activity.
Along with surveillance teams on the ground and spy satellites, this is part of a multi-billion-dollar effort to find a few people in one of the world's poorest countries, Peter.
Thank you, John. John McCarthy at the Pentagon. As John knows, the Pentagon also said today that its airstrikes have, in its words, eviscerated the Taliban forces. They say the Taliban has been made weaker in the northern part of the country, where it has been waging a very long war against what is now called the Northern Alliance. ABC's David Wright reports tonight from Jebel Siraj, just north of Kabul.
On the northern front today, soldiers of the main opposition force were emboldened by the pounding the U.S. is giving the Taliban. They taunt them on walkie-talkies, and the Taliban soldiers answer back with curses and taunts of their own. Then, from the Northern Alliance commander, "You are not a true Muslim. You are worse than dogs, and you're getting weaker by the day." In some parts of the country, the Taliban forces are showing weakness. Tonight, the alliance is on the verge of capturing Mazar-e-Sharif, the largest city in the north. That could give the U.S. access to a substantial airfield inside Afghanistan, if they want it. But on the southern front, the troops remain locked in a stalemate north of Kabul, even though the American bombing runs have intensified. Today, one of those bombs apparently hit a Red Cross depot a mile from Kabul airport, injuring at least one civilian. Outside Kabul today, this Northern Alliance commander expressed frustration that the U.S. is not bombing Taliban lines in the south. The capture of Mazar-e-Sharif would represent the first real sign that the Taliban is in trouble. The hope among the opposition forces here is that it's only the beginning. David Wright, ABC News, Jebel Siraj, Afghanistan.
One more note from the region. Secretary of State Colin Powell met Pakistan's President General Musharraf today. They agree that moderate officials from the Taliban should be part of any new government in Afghanistan. General Musharraf also said he would support the war for, these are his words, as long as it lasts. Secretary Powell is now in India, where he will meet the Prime Minister tomorrow. That's actually the Foreign Minister, and they will undoubtedly discuss Kashmir, which has caused so much tension between India and Pakistan. And one other example of new alliances, Iran has agreed to rescue any American military personnel who might need rescuing during the conflict in Afghanistan. The United States had made the request in a confidential message. The U.S. and Iran still do not have diplomatic relations. When we come back, what is shaping up to be a billion-dollar battle against bioterrorism. The question is, can cities afford the fight? We'll take a closer look.
Gotta go right now. Gotta go right now. Gotta go.
I have to go now.
If an overactive bladder makes you go and go and go, go to your doctor and ask about Detrol LA.
Gotta go.
Just one daily dose works for 24 hours to help control bladder contractions and reduces accidents and bathroom visits.
You need a break? Not right now.
Prescription Detrol LA. You shouldn't take it if you have certain kinds of stomach, urinary, or glaucoma problems. The most common side effects are dry mouth, constipation, abdominal pain, and headache.
And I don't have to go right now.
Ask your doctor about Detrol LA when you've always got to go.
Finally got out of college.
Finally got a job.
And then?
Marriage.
Now what?
Kids.
What?
And a house.
How many bedrooms?
And appliances.
That's the easy part.
At your local Brand Source store, great value, selection, and service allow you to focus on the more important things in life.
And for the baby's room?
Baby? Oh, baby.
Brand Source. We're your neighborhood expert.
Abner, we're rich.
We're rich?
It's our new litter. It's got diamonds in it.
Diamonds! What's a diamond?
A diamond is a very valuable...
You are mistaken, my friends. The diamonds are crystals in new Tidy Cats Crystals blend. The clay traps moisture, the crystals eliminate odor, and that is the only reason I agreed to live here with the likes of you.
Whatever.
New Tidy Cats Crystals blend.
I still think they're diamonds.
After the 270 horsepower Chevy Trailblazer, everything else just seems kind of weak. The all-new Chevy Trailblazer. Like a rock.
C. Move. Beat. The future of vitamin C is here. Ester C, a patented non-acidic vitamin C that supports your immune system and the health of your eyes, joints, and cardiovascular system. Don't settle for less. Ester C, your body will know the difference.
What's being done now to prevent more cases of anthrax? And what do we really know about the cases already reported? Tomorrow, turn to Good Morning America.
We're going to take a closer look tonight at just how much it costs to prepare for biological terrorism. After last month's terrorist attacks, the Congress very quickly authorized $40 billion in spending for everything from military preparation to rebuilding New York City. About $1.4 billion of that may go to federal, state, and local agencies who worry most about a biological threat. But the actual cost to the communities, large and small, will be much greater. And ABC's Michelle Norris reports tonight they will have to pay it for themselves.
In many parts of the nation, hazardous materials response teams, or hazmat crews, now make more emergency runs in one day than they used to make in a month. With America on a state of heightened alert, the crews are called in to check on anything that looks suspicious.
I'd say right now calls have increased tenfold.
At that rate, hazmat crews could burn through an entire year's budget by the end of this month.
Most cities had developed plans for dealing with bioterrorism long before the September 11th attacks, but none were prepared for the cost, especially in a climate where emergency crews are constantly responding to threats.
An onslaught of false reports in Palm Beach, where someone has already died of anthrax, prompted officials to stop sending hazmat teams to check out all reports. Other cities may have to follow suit.
When you're trying to run that many calls in a day and handle them correctly, if we don't take additional action, we're going to wear some of the guys out on this.
Chemical and biological scares have pushed up the price of public safety, way up. Washington, D.C., for instance, has learned that one hazmat team is not nearly enough to cover a city. Here, as elsewhere, there is now a long shopping list. Fully encapsulated vapor-proof suits, price tag $780. Chemical gas masks, $297. Portable decontamination showers, $5,300. And handheld chemical monitors, more than $7,000. And though the federal government has pledged to help, America's cities will see very little of that money. Instead, they will have to take the cash from other programs, and that worries Washington, D.C. Mayor Anthony Williams.
You start trimming parks and recreation, you start trimming libraries, all of a sudden you start eroding that quality of life that people came to cities to find.
The reality is cities will have to start trimming somewhere because, as the White House has been warning, the war on terrorism will be a long one. Michelle Norris, ABC News, Washington.
Last couple of days we've been asking the public about anthrax. An ABC News Washington Post poll conducted last night finds that just over a quarter of Americans express a great deal of worry that they or a loved one might be infected. 54% do have some concern they or someone close to them could be the victim of an anthrax attack. As for a major terrorist attack in general, 77% of Americans are worried that one might occur. When we come back, the children and the money for Afghanistan.
So my brother Daniel said that I could feed his chickens.
It seems like only yesterday. When I started skating at 8 years old, I never thought I'd experience the thrill of winning a medal. With all the great memories has come another thing I thought I'd never experience, the pain of osteoarthritis.
Vioxx is here, a prescription medicine for osteoarthritis pain. With one little pill a day, Vioxx can provide powerful 24-hour relief. Vioxx specifically targets only the COX-2 enzyme, a key source of arthritis pain. People with allergic reactions such as asthma to aspirin or other arthritis medicines should not take Vioxx. In rare cases, serious stomach problems such as bleeding can occur without warning. Tell your doctor if you have liver or kidney problems. For more information, talk to your doctor about once daily Vioxx for the relief of osteoarthritis pain.
Perhaps my biggest victory is to be able to plan my day around my life instead of my pain.
Ask your doctor if Vioxx is right for you. Vioxx for everyday victories.
Laid plans begin with DuPont Stainmaster Carpet.
DuPont Stainmaster has the advanced Teflon repel system, so incriminating evidence won't stick. Backed and warranted by DuPont.
If you have a little difficulty bathing or care for someone who does, take comfort.
Take comfort. Take comfort. There's Comfort Bath. Take comfort.
Comfort Bath. Thick as a washcloth, disposable Comfort Bath can be microwaved for a warm, soothing bath. And Comfort Bath won't dry out skin like soap.
There's Comfort Bath. Take comfort.
Look for Comfort Bath at your drugstore.
Who'd you expect? Bob Dole?
Follow Mark Martin and the Viagra racing team this season.
Get to your doctor for a checkup and find out if a free sample of Viagra is right for you.
And for more information right now, race over to Viagra.com.
Tonight, Spin City moves in 9, 8 Central with Too Much Macho.
On the outside, you have this macho shell, and on the inside, you have this
creamy fruit filling.
Then Bob Patterson reveals too much.
Don't span a rod and spoil this child.
Bob Patterson after Spin City at its new time, 9, 8 Central, ABC Tonight.
More questions about anthrax, where it's coming from, and can the workplace really be made safer? And are the media fueling anxiety and fear? Tomorrow on World News Tonight.
Finally this evening, just a glimpse of motivation. The White House said today in response to the president's suggestion that American children send $1 to help the children of Afghanistan that it has had 90,000 responses so far. And today, when the president met some of the children, there were more dollars on offer, which the president, we are told, duly handed over to the head of the Red Cross. Now, we've heard many ways in which the children have raised money. We actually liked this one today from 11-year-old Kristen Strickland of Virginia.
When I heard the president was collecting money for the Afghanistan children, I wanted to help. So my brother Daniel said that I could feed his chickens and collect his eggs. I hope the money I have earned will help a child in Afghanistan to have a better life.
Very good, Kristen.
Thank you, Kristen.
Apparently she raised $45. Just one final note about the ABC News family. We are out of our offices for a while, but that's a minor problem. The investigative teams have been here all day checking the environment. People will be tested. The good news is that our producer and her son, who tested positive for anthrax, are now at home, and the baby is doing well, as we said. Tonight, the parents are relaxing with takeout. That's our report on World News Tonight. I'm Peter Jennings. I hope we'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
Sometimes the toughest trials that a lawyer ever faces
When the day's work
are the ones outside of the courtroom.
It looks like my ex-wife was harboring a fugitive.
Charge me.
Billy, tonight at 10/9 Central on ABC. Your discretion advised.
I'm Ann Nyberg. Coming up tonight at 11, Connecticut-based Bayer boosts production of the anthrax antibiotic Cipro. And working the night shift could leave you more than just tired at 11.
Of all the things you love about Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs, this may be the most interesting. Right now, your Toyota dealer is offering 0% APR financing for 36 months and no payment till 2002 on Corolla, Tundra, and 4Runner. But hurry, 0% financing ends October 31st.
It's a wonderful time to be here. It's nice to be alive. Wonderful people everywhere. The way they comb their hair makes me want to say it's a wonderful place. It's a wonderful place.
Hi, I'm Jimmy of the Clue Crew. Now, I'm not trying to hustle you, but stay tuned for Jeopardy!